And he's considered an angel in a red pickup truck. Meet the man who spends his night making sure people who don't have homes have food.
A man known as Brother Joe is making a big difference on this frigid night for homeless people who don't often know where they're going to get their next warm meal. Action News reporter Glenda Lewis is live on Detroit's northwest side tonight with the story of Brother Joe. Glenda.
Stephen, we noticed him leaving these steamy cups around various spots in parts of the city. And with one question we found out, he's been serving people in the street for decades.
We're usually out here up to 4 or 5 nights a week.
He rides with 3 igloo containers in his pickup filled with soup, hot chocolate, and hope.
Just feeding folks and taking care of folks out here in the street.
They call him Brother Joe. His name, Kyle Joe Hicks. The Pontiac native Garden City resident has been involved in youth and street ministry for 34 years.
Thank you.
We saw him walk up and leave this for you.
He left it before I got here. I don't know where it came from.
And his loyalty is welcomed and even expected in some of the city's roughest neighborhoods. Do they expect you?
I hope so.
You didn't know where it came from, sir?
No, I did not.
How you feeling, okay?
Yes, I'm good.
You happy that he's leaving something for you?
Yes, I am. I'm very happy.
We followed Brother Joe on one of his nightly rounds.
I'm up in the Cass Corridor by the NSO, the Neighborhood Service Organization shelter, also building they call the Doghouse across from the Masonic Temple, Hart Plaza, here behind Frank Murphy Hall of Justice over by the Police Athletic League where there's a few fellows that sleep out here on the grates.
And while many shied away from the camera, they don't turn away from Joe's ever-extended hand. Just comes from within?
Well, yes, ma'am. Yeah, as a Christian, we want to do what we can to help the community and help the folks that are out there and just do what the Lord would have us to do.
Joe spends part of his time serving in the streets and then the other part with the youth at Springwells Baptist Church, as he's been doing for the last 13 years. He says he's getting ready for summer when he'll prepare hot dogs to take out during those warm summer nights. Live on Detroit's West Side, I'm Glenda Lewis. Carol and Stephen, back to you.
Thank you, Glenda. So many more Joes are needed out there because so many people are in need, right?
You know, the city's full of good people doing good things, and it's kind of what Detroit 2020 is about, to show that. So good thing we can meet Joe tonight.
Absolutely. All right, what's the weather doing out there? Joe out on the street without a coat on,
I know, I saw without a coat. That is tough. Tonight, temperatures are already down in the low 20s, going to the teens. Wind chills are going to be in the single digits, already are in some spots. So try to think about your neighbors and that kind of thing, too, and help out if you can.
The warm-hearted man who's making a big difference for those who need a warm meal.
For the homeless, just 1 cup of warm soup can make a big difference on a cold day like this. And no one knows that better than this man known as Brother Joe. Brother Joe, whose real name is Kyle Joe Hicks, hits the streets of Detroit with 3 igloo containers in his pickup truck. Those containers are filled with soup, hot chocolate, and hope.
We're usually out here up to 4 or 5 nights a week, just feeding folks and taking care of folks out here in the street.
It is so needed as well. And you know what? Brother Hicks is doing a wonderful job. There's so many people are helping out in the city of Detroit. You really don't know until you go down and actually help and look around because there's such a need, and there's still a need.
And there will be for years to come, but it's wonderful that they're doing it one person at a time.
Good for him.
Great.
Absolutely. And this would be a morning where folks could use a hot cup of anything, hot cup of coffee, cocoa, and of course some soup, something nice and hearty. Temperatures are down in the teens. We're going to have wind chills. In fact, we do have wind chills that are falling out of the teens. So there is indeed a bite to the air. On Sunday, well, those folks will be a little cooler, temperatures dropping down to the low 20s in teens, and they'll have an isolated snow shower around as well. That's the forecast.
For the homeless, just 1 cup of warm soup can make a huge difference on a chilly day like this. And no one knows that better than this man. He is known as Brother Joe. Brother Joe, whose real name is Kyle Joe Hicks, hits the streets of Detroit with 3 igloo containers in his pickup truck. Those containers are filled with soup, hot chocolate, and hope.
We're usually out here up to 4 or 5 nights a week, just feeding folks and taking care of folks out here in the street.
He left it before I got here. I don't know where it came from.
As a Christian, we want to do what we can to help the community and help the folks that are out there and just do what the Lord would have us to do.
Hicks has been involved in youth and street ministry for 34 years. He serves soup and warm drinks during the winter and hot dogs during the summer. We certainly respect and say, way to go, Brother Joe.
I was going to say, applaud him this morning. Wonderful.
Definitely, definitely. Nice to see that.
34 years, that's what just jumped out at me. I mean, that's real commitment. It's one thing to do it for a week or two or go out, and that's lovely too, but 34 years, that's dedication.
The man in these streets every night on a mission to make life easier for the homeless had some special little helpers with him. I'm Glenda Lewis with that story live coming up.
We first introduced you to Brother Joe in the winter when he was feeding those who were out in the cold.
Well, tonight, Action News reporter Glenda Lewis reconnected with the pastor who is teaching a lesson of love in our streets. Glenda?
And Carolyn Stephen, he is still out in the streets, still giving out food and giving of his heart. We are in Cass Corridor tonight, and hopefully you do remember Brother Joe. It was early winter time when we met him, and tonight he was with an army of little angels. These young brothers lost their mother to drug complications. Lulu's mom, a prostitute, killed in the streets. And Autumn's father was shot to death, leaving her and 3 siblings behind. But they have all become each other's family now, thanks to the man with the same kind eyes, warm spirit, and open arms we met on the streets about 6 months ago.
A lot of the kids used to be from the Cass Corridor area, but there's not as many children over here. A lot of them have had parents that have been murdered. Rather than just ministering to the kids, we let the kids help in the ministry.
Brother Joe and these members of his Outcry Youth and Street Ministries fed, sang to, and prayed with homeless people outside this shelter in the Cass Corridor.
They gave me some gift package, and they feeding us, and it's real nice.
Along with his wife Lisa, it provided a lesson for these hurting kids their parents can't give them.
We want them to learn that they're not victims of society, that they can give back.
What does this mean to you to give back?
I think it's just nice to help these people. Yeah.
How does it make you feel?
Good.
And Carolyn Stephen, it really is fascinating to be a part of Brother Joe's operation and watch him operate, because he talks to people and knows people as if they're family. It's been 10, 15 years that he's known some people out here. We even heard him talking to people about giving them rides tomorrow somewhere. They really are part of his heart. He left us tonight with that group to go over to an apartment complex called the Dog House across the street from the Masonic Temple, where his work continues. Live in the Cass Corridor, I'm Glenda Lewis. Back to you.
Yeah, so much need. I'm sure a lot of people are happy Brother Joe is out there delivering.
A good night for a good story about good people doing good things. How's that, huh?
It is time for Detroit 2020's Person of the Week. Every Friday we introduce you to someone working to make a difference.
Tonight, Glenda Lewis has the story of a man who spends many cold winter nights on the streets to help the homeless.
Meet the man affectionately known in the street as Brother Joe. He's been involved in youth and street ministry for 35 years now, but each night he brings hope. I first introduced you to Kyle Joe Hicks 1 year ago as we followed him on one of his nightly rounds. Do they expect you?
I hope so.
In the back of his pickup, 3 igloo containers filled with soup and hot chocolate. He goes to some of the city's roughest neighborhoods, welcomed with open arms. This comes from within?
Well, yes, ma'am. Yeah, as a Christian, we want to do what we can to help the community and help the folks that are out there and just do what the Lord would have us to do.
When the weather turned warmer, members of his youth and street ministries fed, sang, and prayed with the homeless outside of a shelter in the Cass Corridor.
I think it's just nice to help these people.
Rather than just ministering to the kids, we let the kids help in the ministry.
Brother Joe, making a difference in the lives of those who really need a helping hand and a warm heart. Detroit 2020's Person of the Week.
Good people doing good things.
He is doing such wonderful work, and good to see him being saluted tonight.
That was Glenda Lewis reporting, and Hicks tells us he still has some needs from you if you want to help him. Boots, socks, and blankets.
If you would like to help, we have all the information on our website, Detroit2020.com. We'll be right back.